Okay. Good morning, Bailey Cunningham, Air Quality Specialist with the City of Wichita. We are releasing our first ozone alert of 2017 for tomorrow, April 11th. An ozone alert has been issued for Wichita and the surrounding communities for tomorrow, April 11th. The purpose of an ozone alert is to notify residents that the alert day has the potential to produce ozone levels that are unhealthy for sensitive groups. Groups that are sensitive include children, the elderly, individuals with respiratory diseases such as asthma, COPD, and emphysema. Active adults who spend prolonged time outdoors should be sensitive to that as well. On ozone alert days, we ask residents and businesses to take action to reduce emissions that create ozone. The more actions taken, the likely we are to avoid an ozone alert where levels exceed the standards set by the EPA. If everyone does a few things, it can really add up to big results. Some actions you can take are to refuel when it's cool after 6 p.m., walk or ride your bike to work tomorrow, delay mowing or any paint projects that you may have, stop fueling at the click, take your lunch to work tomorrow to avoid that midday traffic, and turn off your car, don't idle. Ozone is heat and sunlight bake emissions to form ozone in our atmosphere. Keeping Wichita's ozone levels under the EPA standards is important not just for health, but for the economy in our region. Stricter regulations may result in ozone levels Stricter regulations may result if ozone levels exceed set standards. The community will be advised of conditions through the city's Facebook page, the city website, and Twitter and Instagram if you follow at BeAirAwareKansas. That's all I have. Questions?
Can you tell us why we have this ozone alert? Does it still have to do anything with the Flint Hills burning?
Yes. The prescribed burns that are occurring in the Flint Hills produce particulate matter and elements that contribute to ozone formation. So as that smoke rolls into the city tomorrow, we expect to see ozone levels elevate.
You mentioned it affects the economy. How does it do that?
If we were to go out of attainment with the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, we could have some ramifications in the way of a state implementation plan, which could include items that could affect our economy. For instance, we could see a specific gasoline that our region has to use. So a reformulated gas to lower emissions, that gas could cost more to the citizens in the community, 10 to 15 cents more. Okay, thank you.
Morning. I'm going to discuss the two homicides that occurred yesterday. First one we're going to cover is the one that occurred in the 1400 block of West Rita yesterday afternoon. At approximately 1:30 yesterday, 911 dispatchers received a call of an assault in the 1400 block of West Rita. The calling party was a 9-year-old boy who told dispatchers that his grandmother was being assaulted by a female at that residence. Upon arriving in the area, the officers located the child in the 1100 block of West Jewel. The boy was able to show the officers what house this assault was occurring at, and officers attempted to make contact at that residence. The officers were unable to get anyone to answer the door. They were informed that the assault had occurred or was occurring in the garage, so the officers entered the garage. Upon entering the garage, the officers located the female victim's decapitated body inside. The officers called for additional units. Once enough units were there, they entered into the residence and located a 35-year-old suspect hiding in the residence, and that suspect was taken into custody. During the investigation, detectives learned that the 63-year-old victim and her grandson had gone to the residence to obtain property belonging to her son. A short time after arriving at the residence, it is still unclear why, the 35-year-old suspect began assaulting the 63-year-old victim. The child was able to grab his grandmother's phone from the truck, and he fled the scene running as he was calling 911. Late last night, the 35-year-old female was booked into the Sedgwick County Jail for first-degree murder charges. We should be presenting the case late tomorrow or Wednesday morning. The victim has been identified as Mickey, that's M-I-C-K-I, Davis, D-A-V-I-S. She is 63 years old, of Wichita, Kansas.
Lieutenant, the boy, the 9-year-old, was he in relation to the 35-year-old suspect?
No, he was not.
And you said this was a decapitated body?
Yes.
Was this with, can you explain how this person passed away?
I'm sorry?
Was she stabbed and then decapitated?
I'm not going to go into that. We're still looking at that. The autopsy is being conducted as we speak.
Can you talk-
We do not believe there's any other injuries to her, but the autopsy, we do not believe there's any other injuries, but the autopsy is being done right now.
Can you tell us what type of weapon was used?
Some type of knife. We're still looking at that. All right, anything else?
Do you have anything for the suspect?
Not right now, we're not releasing that.
And the relation between the 35-year-old female and 63-year-old female, there's just acquaintances?
No relation at all.
So the 63-year-old victim, her son, was he dating the 35-year-old or in some type of relationship?
Ex, they had been dating in the past several months ago.
No marriage at all?
No. All right. Now we're going to talk about the homicide that occurred last night, 1264 South Minneapolis. Shortly after 9 o'clock, officers dispatched to a shooting at 1264 South Minneapolis. Upon arrival, they located a 31-year-old black male victim in the front yard of the residence with numerous gunshot wounds. This victim was transported to St. Francis Hospital, where he was rushed into surgery and was later pronounced at approximately 12:30 this morning. The victim has been identified as James Walker III, also of Wichita, Kansas. During the investigation, detectives learned that there were several adults and young children at the residence for just a get-together. Several of the adults were outside in the front yard when 3 to 4 unknown males walked up on foot and began firing, striking Mr. Walker. After firing the shots, the suspects all fled northbound on foot. There was a 28-year-old female that was transported to a local hospital for a leg injury. It was not a gunshot wound, it was just some type of injury to her leg. The remaining individuals at the house fled the residence, and detectives and SCAT officers spent the majority of the night trying to track them down for interviews. We are asking anyone with any information on this case to call 911, the homicide section at 268-4182, or Crime Stoppers at 267-2111. Any questions?
Did you see how many people assaulted him? How many people shot at him?
We're still trying to determine that. There was numerous shell casings on the scene, so we're still trying to figure that out.
Whose residence was the one on South Minneapolis?
Whose residence?
Was it the victim's?
It was
home?
not the victim's house. He was there visiting friends.
This is random, or was this random, or was this...
We do not believe so, no. We believe they were targeted.
specific description that you can tell us to tell people?
As of right now, we just have unknown males in dark clothing. All right,
How many homicides is that for this year now?
this will be 10. All right, thank you.